If you guys enjoy what I do, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it's free and easy to do. Welcome to my channel where we cover the lore of Final Fantasy XIV. We cover the stories both big and small, the epic and the cute, the silly and the tragic. I hope you all enjoy the ride, and welcome to the Chronicler of Lore. While the Warrior of Light does spend most of her time saving people and hunting things, the family business, that's not the only thing she does in Eorzea. There are a lot of different artisan guilds that provide a lot of the necessities for the people of Eorzea, and one of those that the Warrior of Light decided to join was the Weavers Guild. The guild in Ul'dah is known as one of the best producers of quality clothing all throughout Eorzea, a title they earned after a lot of hard work. Thanalan is a harsh place with both environments and creatures that can kill you pretty easily if you aren't prepared. Because of the intense heat of the desert, the people who live there have always preferred lightweight clothing that blocked the sun and kept their sweating to a minimum. But they didn't want their clothes to be ugly either, so the demands for unique designs caused people around the world to want their stuff. Since their stuff was so good, merchants made a lot of money, and that led to some people trying to make knockoffs of the real thing for a quick profit. The Sunsilk tapestries didn't take too kindly to that, and since Ul'dah is literally run by a group of criminals, you can guess how fast these counterfeiters learned the error of their ways. So instead of trying to hustle the people, those that wanted to make money off of the clothing joined the guild. They give their new members the tools of the trade, and if they're skilled enough, they may get hired as full-on members of the Sunsilk Weavers. That is not a process that happens overnight, and Redolent Rose, the guild master, is serious about his craft. So he gives you a few small tasks to see if you mess them up. When you prove that you're not completely hopeless, he starts to give you bigger jobs, like making a lot of cloth for bandages after a group of drunk adventurers got into a fight at the Silver Bazaar and were thoroughly beaten up by the brass blades. As your skills grow, Redolent Rose gives you a job making something for one of his regulars, a Lalafell named Wawaruka. The man's been a customer for so long that Rose wants to let the Lalafell pick something he wants so you can make it for him for free. Ruka doesn't feel like Rose should go through any trouble for him, since all of the clothes he's ordered was for his guild and not him personally. He's a quartermaster, and his guys go through supplies fast, so he's constantly having to replace stuff. But if Rose wants to give him something, he thinks it'll be rude not to accept. But his tastes are pretty simple like most working men, so it doesn't take much effort to make what he wants. Rose had hoped that Ruka would ask for something a bit nicer, but he's a miner, so fancy clothes don't really fit his line of work. Granted, every man should still have some formal wear regardless of what he does for a living, which is some real world advice that should be taken to heart. With all of the work you've done, you've proven your skills enough for Rose to let you work on an actual Sunsilk tapestries commission. The client is extremely rich, which is a surprise to no one since this is Ul'dah we're talking about, and like a lot of rich people, he likes buying exotic and sometimes weird things, so Rose has no clue what Mama Jaru will ask for this time. But he knows the man doesn't like to wait, so he sends you off to meet with him. The Lalafell proves himself to be a horrible human being from the first moment you talk to him, because he assumes you're a beggar and calls you a lazy parasite all before finding out why you even came to talk to him. When he realizes you're the Weaver, he claims to have recently learned that he has a talent for fighting with a sword and shield, which I doubt, and the only way he'll reach his true potential is with the proper gear. Then he proceeds to ask for some very basic equipment, complete with a random piece of material that you find to put in it. Proof that this guy doesn't know anything about fighting. But he's a paying customer, so you fulfill his order. I only wish they would have let me step in the arena with this guy just for a round or two. Rose had known your experience with Mama Jaru would be unpleasant, but that's a part of the job. Appearance and prestige are everything in the city, which means you as a weaver will deal with a lot of people you'd rather avoid. But as Rose proves by calling the Lalafell a little turd behind his back, you only have to respect the people to their face. Not surprisingly, the guild gets hit with a lot of orders all at once. One comes from Nanamo herself, so that one has to take priority. Since everyone is busy, Rose sends you to meet with a client named Babawai about a dress that he wanted made. The dress is for his daughter Kokomo, and since Rose is already late for the appointment, you head off to deal with the customers. Babawai is a very successful jeweler, and he wants his daughter to have a dress worthy of her status because how she looks reflects on him, so he won't have her looking shabby. Kokomo doesn't really want another dress, but since her dad wants her to have one, then she'll do it. Probably because she likes having access to all of the money he gives her. Rose had already figured that Babawai would want something extravagant since his only requirements for the clothes is that they scream rich. His daughter would prefer to get less attention, so Rose decides to use velveteen to make the dress. He'll make the dress personally, but he gets you to make the high quality fabric. And the fact that you pull it off impresses him enough that he gives you another job. This one will be a little more pleasant than your last one. Wawaruka has finally decided to get some nicer clothes, and since you made his last outfit, the Lalafell asked for you personally. The man wants a pair of velveteen gaiters. Those shoes aren't all that useful for a minor, but there's a girl that he likes. Problem is she's from a super rich family, and he wants to look the part when he asks her out, which means he needs some fancy shoes. You of course make a fantastic pair of shoes. That's not the problem. The problem comes from the rest of Ruka's outfit. He looks like an extra from a straight-to-DVD pirate movie, and before Rose can stop him from making a fool out of himself, he runs off. However things turn out, Wawaruka will definitely make an impression. It might not be a good impression, but it will definitely be remembered. Not long after he leaves, Wawaruka requests the guild's service again because, as you should have guessed, his last attempt to get Kokomo's attention went horribly. Her dad called him a pervert and ran him out of his store, which he should have expected since he was dressed bad, but that doesn't mean he's gonna give up. One day he'd made a delivery to Babawai's shop when two boys started harassing the staff, so he confronted them and made them leave after some punches were thrown. He was a little hurt, but apparently he can fight. Kokomo had seen what he'd done, and when she thanked him, it was love at first sight. He wanted to ask her out, but he couldn't find the words, but now he knows he can do it. He just has to look the part when he does. After talking with some of his friends, he figures dressing a bit more conservative will be a better idea, so he wants a nice high-quality linen shirt to make him look all responsible and respectable. The shirt is perfect, but the rest of the outfit has him looking like a stockbroker by day and a stripper by the afternoon. It's even worse than the last one, so there's no way this attempt at flirting will go any better than the last one did. He might end up in jail. The guild gets another request from Kokomo's father, and Rose decides to use this as an opportunity to help Wawaruka out a bit. Obviously, you're going to make her some top quality clothing, but when you meet with her, Rose wants you to mention Wawaruka to see if she likes the man. Kokomo remembers you from before, but when you mention Ruka, she completely forgets what the two of you were talking about and goes on a long, excited monologue about how Ruka came into her father's shop dressed like a nut job and got chased off. And she's kind of sad about it since he hasn't been back to the shop. Obviously, she likes him. After a while, she remembers that she wanted you to make a pair of tights for her so she could wear them under her dresses at some of the dinner parties that her father throws because dresses tend to be cold. Rose says that she could just refuse to go, but Kokomo wouldn't disrespect her father like that. So instead, Rose says she could use the parties to meet a charming young man, and the first thing she says is that there's no way Wawaruka would ever show up at one of those parties. Plus, she doesn't think her father would approve of him. The fact that he's living rent-free in her head means she really likes him. So the only thing that's left is to convince the man to dress like a normal person the next time he goes to see her, which might be harder than you think. So Rose comes up with a very simple solution. Ruka came by asking him for another weird outfit, and Rose has decided to dress the Lalafell in a way that he sees fit instead because he clearly needs an image consultant or something. Because regardless of what Kokomo may assume about her father, if Wawaruka came forward as a presentable suitor, her father wouldn't outright chase him away. He'd make him prove himself worthy of his daughter like a father's supposed to, but he'd get the chance to shoot his shot. Rose has already come up with the outfit, and after Ruka gives you permission to change the order, you put it together. It's the most presentable the Lalafell has looked the entire time you've been dealing with him, but he's not all that happy about it. On the way over to the shop, he saw Kokomo walking with a really rich looking guy, and he realized that no matter what he wore, he'd never fit into that world. Rose doesn't bother trying to change his mind, although he does think that it would be better if he let Kokomo decide what she wanted. But if he wants to give up, that's his decision. Rose knows who the man is that's courting Kokomo, but before he can tell you, Wawaruka comes running in screaming about how he needs new clothes because the guy is going to propose to Kokomo and he wants to tell her how he feels before it's too late. So of course the two of you dress him like a proper gentleman and he rushes off to confess his feelings to her. Because he knows the Lalafell is not likely to go through with it, Rose sends you to watch and see what happens. You find Ruka watching Kokomo and her date, who turns out to be that jerk Mama Jaru. He's telling her a story that she's not interested in at all, and when he realizes that she's not listening to him, Mama Jaru goes to slap her. That's enough to make Wawaruka get the nerve to step in. Mama Jaru acts like he's gonna attack the other Lalafell for disrespecting him, but all it takes is one look from Ruka to let the other man know that the beating he would get if he threw that punch would be legendary, so he leaves. Because of the fact that he stood up to the man, and after making a promise that he would never wear those strange clothes again, he gets a date with Kokomo. And they lived happily ever after, until Mama Jaru decides to send some people to kill them because this is Ul'dah, and that's probably how the story would end. This concludes the first story in the Weaver questline. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, ding that notification bell, join the Discord, and if you really want to show your support, sign up to become a member of the channel. Until next time guys, later.